Ford isn't the only one losing money on the EV push. Toyota has been avoiding the EV push altogether. Previously, Toyota was doing everything to do what we could call EV avoidance. And why is this? Oh, it's because EVs lose a ridiculous amount of money. It's scary how much EVs lose. Right now, going EV, it's like, the expression, go woke, go broke. Well, going EV means you're going to get shocked. And you're going to get shocked by horrible losses. Ford claims to lose $32,000 every EV unit sold. So if you're wondering, why doesn't Ford have more Pro F-150 Lightning Pro models? That's what I want. Oh, I'm going to wait for that model. They can't build that model. They're building that model in very, very low numbers so that it can apply, so other models can apply for electric government money, rebates. Subventions is the proper term. It is, if Ford started making mostly Pro models, Ford's entire business would need to close down. If they made 1 million Pro models per year, they'd probably sell 1 million Pro models per year, and quickly they would go out of business, just like Lucid is headed for the toilet. Their CEO got a $137 million bonus for being the biggest loser CEO. I mean, he had the biggest losses as a CEO on the market. Not specifically calling him a loser. I actually think he's pretty cool, and I've read some of the things that he's said. I like the product that he's made. He's clearly very, very intelligent. But he's losing $338,000 every Lucid model that is made. EV rival Neo, not from the Matrix, mind you, all this false reality, this forced world because of a certain agenda that's being pushed, is a little wild. And it is a fake, fabricated reality pushed by politicians being paid to push this through lobbying money, legal bribing. Neo loses $35,000 on every car sold.
That's a lot.
Yep.
Incredible.
And the only other real truck on the market currently being sold in, some numbers, used to be kind of Ford owned. Ford owned a big portion of the company, but Rivian, the Rivian truck, loses money on every single model sold. So right now, EVs are the secret sauce to big losses. Toyota has done everything to avoid it, and that CEO is now gone. The new CEO is jumping head over heels he's jumping on the horse, on the bandwagon. He's jumping on the electric bandwagon because Toyota had ditched EVs or was in a total EV avoidance. Now they're on the bandwagon because they signed a supply agreement with LG Energy Solution that will involve the latter company supplying the automaker with lithium-ion batteries, not lithium iron phosphate. Lithium iron phosphate is what hopefully a factory in Michigan will be making for Ford. But right now that factory is on hold and is one of the unfortunate consequences of the UAW strike. Now please watch our UAW strike video. At the end of this video, you'll be proposed a video either to the right or the left. Click on it. It really helps the channel grow, get out to more eyes, and drop comments, because without comments and without you clicking on a second video, no one gets to really know what the real deal is going on in the automotive world from an insider, from an EV owner. We have an F-150 Lightning. We absolutely love it. The truck is performance-wise, comfort-wise, it is an all-time winner. It's one of the best vehicles on the market, and I feel it is a complete soulless machine. I'm driving the Terminator, and one day, if it doesn't like me, it may just drive me to the police station or just stop working because someone decides that I don't get to drive somewhere anymore. Well, that's a potential danger of future vehicles, but really more likely we'll all be priced out of future vehicles 10, 15 years down the road, and we'll all be paying for ride sharing or autonomous taxis. This is one of the main reasons I have bought almost 10% of my portfolio is in Tesla, and that's because Tesla is probably going to be the winner. I believe they're going to be the winner when it comes to autonomous vehicles. So I've put a lot of my money into Tesla, not for their vehicles that I find look great and have some problems that Tesla owners will never want to admit to because they have got like a very verbally violent fan base, which they don't realistically accept that everyone has their pros and cons. They like to say that Teslas are perfect, and anyone who doesn't say so is going to be destroyed on the internet. So hopefully there's no Tesla people watching, because I will probably cry from some of the comments. Tesla people are really rough. The fanboys are scary. They're keyboard warriors, and I'm scared. And I am actually scared. I don't want to get into a fight with any of them over the internet. They'll empty all my bank accounts. They're smart people. They're some of the smartest. A portion of their owners are some of the smartest people when it comes to auto owners out there. We've got a lot of engineer. I don't want to call them. Well, we'll call them tech geeks, engineer geeks, very, very intelligent people.
That's surprising, because normally you're not afraid to say what you want, and with these kind of people, you're afraid.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah, well, there you go. It'll be the one time I don't have a rant, and you're so happy.
You say, if I buy a Tesla, you'll be afraid of me?
I know you won't hack and empty my bank account. So, Toyota does have a supply agreement, but unfortunately for what I would call old battery tech. So they're going to have old battery tech being produced in Michigan, and Ford right now, because of the UAW strike, has put on hold their lithium iron phosphate battery plant, meaning we were expecting the Mach-E's now as of, the last quarter or even the third quarter of Q 2023. We expected Q3 2023 to have lithium iron phosphates in the Mach-E, in the Select model. And I really like this technology. Watch for more episodes to know why. However, we're not getting that. And then it was going to go to the Lightning. I'm now starting to think that maybe we're looking more at 2025 to get lithium iron phosphate technology, which means no use of, right now Toyota is going to be using batteries that have all the things I really don't like about, well, not all of them, half of the things I hate about EVs. They're using nickel, cobalt, manganese, and aluminum. The aluminum I don't mind so much. Actually, I don't mind aluminum at all. I think aluminum is fantastic to being used for panels, in batteries. Aluminum is fantastic. But the nickel and cobalt are not pretty substances. High pollution, high problems. So these are going to be, for Toyota, pouch type cells with an annual capacity of 20 gigawatts an hour starting in 2025. Those units will be used in a variety of Toyota EVs. So they're coming out. Toyota is now slated to come out with a lot more EVs or, hybrids. And that's going to be getting built at their Kentucky plant, beginning also in 2025. So LG Energy Solution will invest a total of $3 billion in its Michigan facility. So I'm really happy about that, because that means jobs. And I love hearing about job production in the Canada, US, and Mexico. These three countries need to work together to be able to squash and really not just compete, but squash China. When China wants to play dirty, when they want to have a certain agenda and be buddies with Palestine, and, who knows what they're doing in the Middle East to cause the United States, to try to bait the United States into a forefront war, war in Ukraine, a war in the Middle East, and a war with them. And also maybe a war in Africa, because China's really been pumping a lot into China. But, you can look into and read about the BRICS agreement, China and their future partners. It worries me. So Canada, US, and Mexico need to be much stronger. Canada, you need to shape up, smarten up, get a real leader who is not going to send all sorts of money overseas, but instead will actually make it so our submarines don't sink, and so that our battleships don't sink. It's the Canadian Navy, our Navy servicemen deserve so much better. And as Canadians, we deserve to be properly protected. Now, if you remember, when countries, democratic, liberty-loving countries were built, you go back to John Locke and, the forefathers in thought for after the French Revolution for, freedom and democracy. Basically, they said that governments that ruling classes, the leaders we pick, are only there to protect our life, liberty, and basically, life and liberty. So health and our capacity to live freely. So they're in charge of defense from outside threats and a police force, and some would also argue maybe a medical system to also help protect your life. But they're there to protect our life, liberty, and health. Our life, liberty, and wealth, you could say. My apologies. And when you send our money elsewhere, you're not necessarily protecting your wealth, our wealth and our health and our liberty. And you better be able to prove and argue why our money is going to other countries. You better be able to make a convincing argument towards that. You better not call, let's say, the trucker convoy Nazis and then literally invite a Nazi to our parliament and applaud him and call him both a Canadian hero and a Ukrainian hero. Anyone with any knowledge of history knows that. And, our prime minister mentioned, it's really pathetic. He mentioned that, he said when, they're off fighting the Russians in World War II. Well, everyone knows that the only people fighting the Russians in World War II were not German soldiers and Nazis. And actually in Ukraine, the division of soldiers that were in Ukraine were SS. So the nastiest of all nasties. Because some German soldiers were just, out to protect their country. Their country had been very poor. They had been destroyed by World War I, which was supposed to be the war to end all wars. Surprisingly, war doesn't actually end violence forever as they thought. Wars actually breed more violence, which was World War II. German people had been really penalized. They're very poor. They're desperate. So some of those German soldiers, let's not all think that all German soldiers were bad and evil, but the SS soldiers were truly pure demonic pieces of crap. And that's the ones that are, and those are the ones that our prime minister applauded and said was a true hero. So either a complete idiot or the agenda he's supporting is previous Nazis. And who knows, maybe Klaus Schwab is a previous Nazi. He was living in Nazi Germany in the 30s. That's the system that possibly brainwashed him for life. Who knows? But that's my rant for the day.
Wow.
Whew.
A quick rant.
A very angry
You're
rant,
good.
though. So let's hope these jobs come. We need we need to invest in areas to make sure that other countries cannot destabilize us, cannot take away all capacities that we have for protecting ourselves with modern technology. So, we need to be able to produce oil. We need to be able to produce batteries on our own. We need to be able to produce plastic. We need to be able to produce our own arms and weaponry. And I think it's great that we're going to have a battery plant. Let's hope Ford has a battery plant as well. And we're pretty much wrapping up the show. Let's just wrap up my little rant here with something that really truly bothers me. You see, I invest in the stock market, and I invest like the politicians invest. I sell when the politicians sell. So I actually follow Wall Street memes. I also follow politician trade tracker. And you see here Nancy Pelosi, if you follow her trades, you're going to do well because somehow, miraculously, on a roughly $150,000 per year over her career salary as a career politician, is now worth, what is it? $237 million. It's over $150 million. So that just makes, I don't know how to do that math, but politicians are allowed to trade stocks. And really oddly though, you've got Mark Wayne Mullen, Republican from Oklahoma. On 9/13, he disclosed a brand new $50,000 purchase of Raytheon Tech, that's RTX, and Raytheon is the company behind Israel's Iron Dome defense system. And the more frustrating part is that he sits on the Armed Forces Committee. So sits on the Armed Forces Committee and somehow thought, September 13th, hey, I should invest $50,000 in the company that supplies weaponry for the Iron Dome over Israel. Which I think it's awful what's happened in Israel, obviously. All I can do is be, at first in shock and then pray for the people of the region. But stuff like that is just like, what the heck? What the heck? And you've got other politicians, by the way, that have actually sold their several $1 million positions and have only reinvested a tenth of that money in, one company, but they've pulled out 90% of their portfolio for the moment out of the stock market. They just sold, 100%, reinvested 10, and then 90%. Like, what is going on?